come into this digitalization, how it actually going to help us, or how it has been taken a shape in pharma industry. What are the areas are there? We have been broadly be talking about that. Okay, we've been used for marketing, but is it only a marketing? Okay, in marketing also we talk about the customers, because we all been talking about the customers, how we want to really see the customers, and how we can really be close with the customers. So that is where actually we have been using the digital. But is it again only that limited to customers? Okay, there are a lot of internal customers, that is your employees, and that's also has taken another shape. Even more, product development, R&D. There are so many areas we've been knowing that how it is be there. And this is where we are going to just touch upon a couple of very specific things today. Now, when we talk about digitalization, we have today Mr. Prasant Mohanty. Now, I request Mr. Prasant Mohanty to share his slide and he can take the show. Mr. Prasant, please.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kaleras, and for giving this opportunity to share my thoughts. And good evening to everybody, as well as Happy Navaratri. I'm sure during this trying time, everyone is keeping safe and also taking utmost care in terms of the precautions to stay away from this dreaded virus, COVID-19. I see my very senior and respectable professional colleague, Mr. Sankadas sir. Good evening to personal. Good evening to you, Mr. Vivek Hathgandri, and lot of seniors I could say. So I am not an expert in digital marketing, though Mr. Kaleras talked about me about my experience in pharma sales and marketing. But whatever I have learned, and digital is very close to me and close to my heart. So whatever I have learned, I will try to share in the next 25 to 30 minutes. So just a brief, I think, little correction. Vivio Health is a global teleconsultation company originated from Estonia, that's from Eastern Europe, and I'm heading this operation in India. So with this introduction, let me take you through what are my thoughts, and then if I'm able to answer some of the questions, I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah, it's happening.
Okay. So the topic today, I think, how digitalization is going to the future. So I'm not going to talk only about the sales and marketing aspect, but in the entire healthcare segment. I will also touch upon, because most of the colleagues are from the background of sales and marketing. So that also I'm going to cover towards the end. But as I'll try to give an overall in terms of the future. But before we get into the future, some of the background information is healthcare industry is one of the slowest in adaptation as far as the digital is concerned. In fact, our rank, the industry rank is we are the in the bottom 3 as compared to like industries which are like finance or media. They are much advanced in terms of adaptation. So to me, till now also we can say that we are already in the infancy stage, and thanks to COVID-19, I think this has given a thought for every company, be it MNC or a small Indian companies, to really adopt or make digital as one of the key strategy in various aspects. It's not only in sales and marketing, but in every aspect. So with this new tools and technology coming, so there will be going to be a lot of transformation as far as healthcare industry is concerned, which will help the efficiency as well as better patient care. Because ultimately our industry is keen that how do you increase the patient care, or how the doctors can actually manage the patient in a much better way. That's the ultimate goal. So I'd like to share maybe like 7 thoughts or 7 ways how digital can save the future. So the first point is definitely with the digital things coming in, it can improve in diagnosis. So when I say that improve in diagnosis, there are a lot of technology which is allow doctor for better diagnosis. Because what happens with this technology, a lot of data is being captured, which is in the form of electronic health record. And with this data coming in, it will help doctors to actually have a better diagnosis. So one such example is that there is of initiative of IBM and Watson. They are working particularly in the field of breast cancer. In this breast cancer, with the type of screening program mammography which they do, they try to analyze those huge number of data, and that data actually allows the doctors to have a better diagnosis. It will also help the doctors to have a computer-aided diagnosis, and I will come to that in little later. Particularly in the field of radiology, it has got a huge help uh, to the doctors. So one is it improves in diagnosis. The second is there are more convenient delivery system. It also helps in terms of delivery. So when it comes to delivery, we all know the penetration of mobile, so which is like nothing but an M-Health, and also the data usage. The average Indian usage of data, what is projected by 2025 is almost like 25 GB per month. So with that type of data usage, the everything is going to be on the smartphone. Even if you go today to the remote area, people are used to the smartphone, they're used to WhatsApp messaging, they're used to particularly the e-commerce. Again, the e-commerce has taken a big step, and in the last 6 months from the lockdown period, most of the business are happening in the e-commerce space. So that has also helped people to get adapted to this digital technology. In addition to that, there are a lot of wearable technologies which are available, and this technology helps to identify or measure a lot of vital parameters, and that can get transmitted. Also help doctors to for early diagnosis and provide a better patient care. So those are some of the points, like how this technology also can help the doctors to uh, provide a much better patient care. Now, the third ways how digital technology save the future is advancing the personalized care. So when I say that personalized care, I was talking about how with the electronic health records are available, there's a huge number of data which is now being captured, and these data are actually being used for better patient management. And with the improve of testing capabilities, also is going to help. When I say testing capabilities, a lot of point of care test is getting introduced, and once those point of care test is getting transmitted to the tertiary centers, also it helps doctors to customize or do a lot of personalized care. Then there is a cutting edge technology which is also helping the doctors, the genetic profile. So when you say that genetic profile, what does it mean, genetic profile? Because there are a lot of those are particularly from the oncology field must be understanding there are lot of targeted therapies are getting developed. And what I mean by targeted therapy, uh, with the help of the genetic study, particularly for example, like in a breast cancer, a doctor can choose by doing the sequencing of the gene, which is the right drug which is going to work. So when we talk about the small molecules or targeted therapy or monoclonal antibodies, because there are various monoclonal antibodies which are available in the market. However, uh, with the help of this genetic analysis, which will be available to the doctors, they can select the drug which will be actually effective for the patients. And that's how this entire digital support can be given to the doctors, and by in turn it will help the patients. Uh, the fourth point is how to advance the access to healthcare service. By 2035, this is again the WHO report, there will be almost like 12.9 million healthcare worker shortage. Now, particularly for even our country as on today, we all know that the doctor-patient ratio, we are much lower. In fact, if I correct the data, it's 1400 doctors per thousand as compared to the 1000, the benchmark of WHO. So there's a huge shortage of doctors. While there are doctors, like India has got almost like 8 to 9 lakhs, but if you look at the specialties available, be it the super specialty like oncologist, nephrologist, gastro, or urologist, are very, very limited, and they are limited to maximum to metro or tier 1. So how do you access? Now, let's take example of a nephrologist and the amount of CKD patients in our country. And all of us know that CKD, like patients with diabetes, will have a lot of complications like chronic kidney disease. Now, is it possible that 4,000 nephrologists or say 5,000 nephrologists can manage a population of 1.3 billion? It is completely impossible for this one. So how do you take the advantage of digital so that the specialty care can also be available to the patients who need? So here, the digital health can be a powerful enabler to improve the healthcare outcome. And this can also become the maximum benefit for the rural and the remote areas, because there the specialty care is not available. And that's where actually a company like ours, the BBO Health, can provide those solutions through which through the telemedicine, patient data can reach out to the doctors sitting in tier 1 or say metro cities, and the patients who are far off from place, far off the distance, they need not have to travel all the way. So it saves a lot of cost. At the same time, it also provides timely care or advice. And all of us also know that in chronic therapy, chronic disease, compliance plays a big role. And with the available of the technology, particularly the teleconsultations, the compliance will be much better, because the patient today, the Indian psychology is that unless until I feel some uncomfortable in the disease, like, then I don't visit the doctors, particularly in diabetics and all those things. Whereas, or a hypertension disease, the patient need to be monitored on every 3 months or say every 4 months. Now, that gap which the patient gives leads to a lot of complications can be avoided with the use of technology like telehealth. So this is going to play a very big role as far as in the next 5 to 6 years. And again, thanks to COVID, in COVID, all of us were compelled to stay inside, and at the same time has a difficulty in reaching to the doctors. So with the telehealth, what happens, like, you need not have to travel, number one. At the same time, the doctors also has a fear of that if the patients are coming, so many patients are coming to their chamber or the hospital, they have an infection. Now, can you avoid the infection? You cannot. But even if whatever precautions that you may use, sanitization or the masks, you may delay. But with the telehealth, you can eliminate the infection. So that's how we can use the technology to address the need of the patients. And today's technology is so fast, like the second, what we say that do we have, or the limitations can be, do we have the bandwidth in the remote area? And there are platforms which works on offline, need not have to have a very high bandwidth like 4G or something like that. At the same time, the patient can upload the image, because everybody knows how to take a picture and send the image to the doctors. And that's how the data will be available. And once we integrate the entire ecosystem, the testing reports, the lab or the radiology reports, once those are available, but again, the limitation is not applicable to all the diseases, but it can actually address in some of the disease areas. Now, what about in terms of the drug discovery or the clinical trial? All of us know that how difficult or how much time or the resource it required actually to get one molecule into the market. Perhaps millions of compounds are getting screened to really get the right molecule for a disease like diabetes or hypertension. With the available of machine learning, So machine learning can actually screen a huge number of compounds in a very shortest time, and also it will reduce the cost, it will also reduce the time. So thereby it allows the companies to improvise on the R&D. The R&D spend will be less, as well as we can get much more or better molecules at the earliest time for disease for treatment available. So that's how it can also play a very big role as far as R&D is concerned. Now, digital solution can also help in clinical trial simulation. It can also help in computer-assisted trial design, because to analyze such a huge data, this can also help the entire thing. And there can be different type of model based drug design can be introduced. That also saves a lot of time as well as resource. And there is something, the new concept which is now getting introduced to the healthcare is called graphing processing unit. In all the types of video games which we all are used to it, they use graphic processing unit, which can handle actually large amount of data. So particularly in clinical trial, when we are screening a lot of compounds, so it not only helps in patient care, but also help the industry or the pharmaceutical companies as per the R&D is concerned. So also the digital can help in the financial outcomes, because as well as increase value. So when I say financial outcomes, all of us know that the use of artificial intelligence in medical imaging, which can speed up the diagnosis. This is very, very useful and being working in radiology. So what happens, like when there are a lot of scan reports are available, the database is available, with the help of artificial intelligence, you can pinpoint the diagnosis. So the diagnosis, what I mean by diagnosis is, for example, the algorithm can be used, and that algorithm can be much more, much better accuracy, increase the accuracy to get the final diagnosis. And all of us also now know that again, radiology is one of the most sought specialty, and what is the shortage. So with the introduction of artificial intelligence, the digital can help. I will not say that it will replace, but a huge number of radiology reports can be analyzed in a very short period of time. So that's how it can help. Again, for hospitals or for doctors, AI can also reduce a lot of non-medical work, like the back-end appointment fixing, then nursing workload, surgical scheduling, and can save a lot of cost. Because ultimately, we need to put the resource for better patient care. If I'm able to do through a digital or through my computerized method or through the different types of programming, then why do I need so much of manpower? That can also help in terms of the improving the financial outcomes. This also can streamline the healthcare service and driving the operational effectiveness. So when I say that driving operational effectiveness, what I mean is more of automation. A lot of automation can be done. It can also reduce clinical documentation, because through this you can use that. For example, like our doctors like are not so adaptive in terms of actually giving e-prescription. Now that with the technology like speech recognition technology, it can detect while the doctor is speaking to the patients about taking the history and all those things. Actually, it can get typed in the system. So that also saves a lot of time. It reduces in terms of the patient's OPD load, and ultimately it improves the efficiency. So that's how also this technology can be used. And with the available of 5G, because the whole world is moving towards the 5G technology, with the available of 5G technology, it can help the surgeons for robotic to do a lot of robotic surgery. So now I think it's around from a distance of around 30 miles, a robotic surgeon can perform the surgery just because of the use of 5G technology. So that's how the entire healthcare is going to shape towards as per the future is concerned. Now, coming to what is pertinent is for our sales and marketing, we all know that the entire pharma industry is more of like MR-driven industry. So our interaction or our communication, mode of communication is primarily or 70 to 80% of the resources being spent on the MRs. So that's how the industry is so dependent on people. Very less spending on advertisement. Of course, that is not that the industry doesn't want to spend, but we have a lot of restriction. We follow a lot of rules and regulation. It's a regulated industry. All of us know that. As compared to the FMCG, they can free to advertise anywhere, anything. That's not the case with pharma. So therefore, there are a lot of less spending, and the communication to the physician is again limited. Uh, uh, as I mentioned, that it is only through the people or the MR, and that's how also it really reduce the engagement with the customers. So when I talk about engagement, I will come to in little detail. So the time is actually look at disruption in marketing through digitization. So when I say disruption, I really mean that yes, a huge uh, uh, scope is there actually to disrupt, and perhaps these 6 months must be actually a testing for many of the large organization to really test that yes, how the digital, what is the need or what was the gap in terms of actually if the company those have not adopted or do not have the digital strategy, how it was actually uh, uh, impacted their business in many, right from supply chain to marketing to reaching out to doctors to or any communication. So that in every field got impacted. So how it is going to help? The first thing what I mean is that it will have a lot of benefit in terms of patient communication. So with the help of digitization, industry can focus on end user, because till date our only focus is or communication is through customers. There are hardly any communication we are able to do to patients. Again, as I said that yes, because of lot of regulation, it's a regulated industry, but with the help of digitalization, we can definitely reach to our end user. And the industry can be a service provider and not just providing medicine or just selling pill. So when I say that service provider, we need to look at the entire ecosystem, which where actually industry can play a role as far with the use of having a digital strategy. So we can create a lot of patient communities. It can help through this, because what helps it reduce the time, and with lesser resource, you can reach out to the maximum number of your customers. So one such example which I came across is for Novartis. Novartis has got a patient community like called Via app for either for the blind or for the low vision people. So through this app, it guides the person how to manage his daily life, because they have actually a difficulty in terms of as far the vision is concerned. So each every organization can think of and also can help to build these communities. Through digitization, also it can help to have a lot of real-time diagnosis and data adherence. So when I say the data adherence, I was talking about the chronic, or I mean by chronic therapy, where actually whether it is CKD or chronic liver disease or diabetes or hypertension, adherence to therapy is a must. So with the help of digital, we can able to reach out, we can communicate, we can deliver the drugs to the doorstep, to the patient doorstep, so that the adherence is meant, is the compliance is 100%. And of course, once you know that the compliance is better, the outcome will be much better. It applies to every disease, which not only chronic but even to the acute. So to summarize, uh, I am what I would like to communicate is that with the help of digital, actually it can reshape the pharma marketing, and the digital world is actually a visual world to all of us. Uh, Digital channels to replace the regular form of advertising. So when we talk of regular form of advertising, it will help to communicate much better. And there are a lot of digital savvy physicians, and when we say digital savvy physician, we all must know how do they because if you look at the, if I give an example of e-commerce, say for example Myntra, okay, like in Myntra, exactly knows what you are, means so what color you like, what size, definitely all the time you look at, because at the back end, the data is being captured through machine learning. Similarly, now when I mean by digital savvy physicians, so we all know that most of the doctors, they look at for medical information to various sites or journal sites. So we can exactly know that what is he looking for, and the communication can be targeted rather than just giving the whole lot of communication, because the sharper the communication, better is the outcome or the productivity, the effectiveness of the communication will be much better. So that's how also it can help through, we can able to achieve that through digitalization. Customer experience mapping, I just gave example of the e-commerce. Having understood or having met, even perhaps pharma industry is the only industry where we make so much of face-to-face contacts, but unfortunately we have no method or very our data collection method is very rude and not in a very systematic way as compared to say IT or say financial sectors like insurance and all those. So primarily our knowledge is very poor. That's why I mentioned in my opening statement that we are in the infant stage as far the digitalization is concerned. So we need to learn a lot from those industries, that how can I actually get my customers experience. So when I say customer experience, be it what is the type of information he's looking for, what is his practice, what are the type of patient that he sees, so that can actually we can get those informations once the entire industry moves towards the digital strategy. And changing the target audience. So as I mentioned, that we need to also move from just selling to be a service provider, and that's how our target audience will not be only doctors, because gone are those days that when I only work on the doctors. So I need to work on the customer as well as my consumer. So when I say consumer, my end user, who is the patient or who is the end user of my drug, and if I am able to know that person, uh, and there is a I can develop a method of communication, perhaps I'm able to do that. I'm not going into the how it is going to help in terms of the supply chain. It Digital method is going to help use safe as far the supply chain is concerned. I think particularly the e-pharmacy has crossed all the difficulties during this COVID time in terms of making the product available at the doorstep. Uh, Customer care centers, helpline numbers, particularly companies those who have launched Remdesivir, we could see a lot of helpline numbers, and that's how actually we are moving towards reaching to our customers, or what I mean by end users. So those are some of my thoughts. I thought I will share with each one of you, and I'll be happy to take any questions or even suggestion from my seniors like Sankardas sir. So thank you, Mr. Kalairas, and it's let's open for the any questions from this audience.
Thank you, Mr. Prasant. It's a really lovely presentation. We have been really seen or discussed a lot of things on the marketing related digitization. So we know that a lot of things we've been discussing, talking on all things. But what you have discussed something really gone little ahead of that, and just touch upon a couple of things which is related to the doctors and healthcare. I think that is really a kind of highly informative to us. Now, uh, I think now just open to the questions for team, and any questions they can actually put across to me. And before that, I just want to have a few things. I've recently attended one program on IT technology. Okay, we have so many things on IT, but I just want to say a couple of things. Is that now there's a huge digital transformation takes place. It's actually moving from ops to apps. So a lot of things are actually the kind of changes happening. And second, he just what he is talking is an application of data running in the enterprise live everywhere. Now, if you really see from farmer perspective, we want to really see to what extent we actually integrating all digital activities. For example, suppose if we talk about the internal and external. So you say internal, with the marketing and purchase, logistics, all teams, the finance. So there are kind of things are happening, but beyond sales and beyond understanding the tracking the data of basic data, what extent actually we have been integrating the data which is actionable data, that is really, if we ask compared to other industry, what extent we have been doing it, there's a question mark. Now another biggest thing is we interacting with the our customers. When I say customers, we have very broadly, there are 3 4 customer groups. One is we talk about the doctors, second is talk about chemists, then stockists or the the other channels, hospitals. So these all what kind of base we have. Many time we really see there are a lot of opportunities, say that we can integrate the data. Even if you talk about hospitals, or if you talk about the doctors, medical practitioner doctors, so there are so many opportunities, there is kind of scope we can actually integrate the all data with the kind of analytics and digital opportunities are available. So this is, I think, we need to really move more towards on that. I think this is what I think we need to really see. This is what I think Mr. Prasant has really highlighted, the kind of how it has been talked about the hospitals. Like for example, how you diagnose a patient, how actually things are happening. This is what actually have been discussed. Especially we talk about 7 ways of the digital transformation which is taking place. This is all I think really a lovely presentation. Before we just put the question and open forum, there are a couple of questions which we got from in the registration. Um, uh, there's one question on digital therapeutics. I think a few things have been already touched upon by Prasant. Prasant, you want to give more light on that digital therapeutics?
So exactly, when I need little more clarification, what actually you mean by digital therapeutics? So is
Basically, the question they want to understand about is what is the digital therapeutics are happening, the changes or what therapeutics are digital things are happening in the various therapeutic areas, or digital therapeutics, how it has been happening, or what are the things like the way we talk about the cardio, like way we you
okay.
have seen that very things are there. How actually this is a kind of thing, which are the therapeutics which actually the digital transformation possible. One is cardio, we know that so many things are happening. So beyond that, like maybe another is nerve system or neuro science, so where actually there's a lot of activities are happening. So like that, where actually the things are happening, where that the digital can be used for as a therapy or as a therapeutics operations, or
So
the kind of things where a pharma company can also look into that.
So as I mentioned, like one is in the field of cancer, that is in breast cancer, a lot of work is
Right.
going on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
shared the example of IBM Watson, how IBM is working with the company Watson, collecting the data of the mass screening of mammography data and actually doing that. So this is one field. Second is in cardiology. You rightly mentioned about the cardiology therapeutics. So there are a lot of tools coming in where actually you can, with the data integration, you will able to know which patient is going to have the heart failure. So once you are able to identify the risks, that this is the patient who is a high risk for heart failure, also can be a benefit, can get a lot of benefit. So these are the two therapies which I am aware of. Lot of work is going on as far the digital is concerned. Now, the The second question I think is, will digital marketing is giving good impact in brand building? Yes, because ultimately all of us work towards building our brand, and it's not only that the brand. When you say brand building, uh, there are we have to look at the 360-degree approach of the brand. So right from supply chain to availability to customer experience. So when I say customer experience, both the doctors as well as the end user, that is the patients. And once we know and have those data points and integrate and improve upon, perhaps that will also help us to build our brand. Because unless until I get the right feedback from my end users or my customers in a right format, like as I mentioned that having worked in this industry for maybe 2 decades, our knowledge about customers and patients are very poor because our data collection method is not in a form which you can analyze. So it's a uh, very rude way of getting those data. So that's how we can able to actually help. Digital can help in terms of the brand building. Now, next question is, blockchain is going to do wonders in supply chain management. Yes, that is true in terms of if you know about blockchain. I think blockchain is exactly going to keep lot of data points. So in terms of the leakage is not going to happen through the blockchain. That's one. Second thing, information can be stored and can be analyzed. So that's how it can help as far as supply chain management is concerned.
Yeah, another question is added by Mr. Verma. Explain the mapping customer experience. So
Okay.
how it can be done? Yeah.
Okay. So when you say that customer experience, I will give example like let's take example of Aditya Birla Finance. Okay. So what do they do? Now, if you are an insurance buyer of Aditya Birla Finance, and they exactly know at what point how you are actually experiencing their product. Now, again, that is true because they are capturing the entire data through digital method. In the similar way, when for us, our customer is doctors, but do I know my doctor's experience? I do not know because I'm not able to capture. So with the help of like yesterday, we are just detailing our product and the communication happening between the doctors and the patients were never captured. Today, many people have moved to the e-detailing. Now, in e-detailing, we are able to capture certain points and on a real time, because one is the capturing the data and second thing is that the real time data, because just capturing is not going to help us unless until I capture the real time data. And once I capture the data on a real time, what type of action that I am able to take as far as my customer is concerned. So unless until we do that, perhaps we will not able to move towards. And the second thing is that when I say experience, now no doctor is going to tell about the product. So the EHR, which is now going to be like mandatory for our country, because the physical prescription has to replace with the electronic prescription. That will also help us to know about the doctor's behavior of using the brand or the molecule. That is how what I mean by the customer experience.
Thank you, Mr. Prasant. If any other question, if any the participant want to shoot the question, they can shoot now.
So I think one question Mr. Barma is asking that during this time, what are the skills, utmost skills required for a salesperson? See, we all are moving towards in a different, like our generation and the current generation, everything they want in like in a click of a button. So once we are looking at the click of the button, what is required is upskilling every salesperson's knowledge as far the digital is concerned. And before we expect our customers to adopt the digital technology, I think it is very much important for industry like us to adopt the technology first. Then we can go and look at or make adaptation to the customers or the patients. So every salesperson is supposed to or can should able to connect the dots as far as his customers, his retailers, his stockists, his patients, all those is concerned. If that is done, I think we will able to that those are the skill set which is very much required at this point of time.
Yeah, thank you, Prashant.
Yeah, one more question which is flashing during the time of interaction with one of my friend is how smaller companies going to cope up with the digital adoptions.
So, see, when we talk about the smaller companies, like, see, it's not that in every field I have to adopt a digital. I talked about for R&D, like in R&D, how machine learning can help the companies to screen millions of compounds at the shortest time. Perhaps that is not maybe the point of starting point for small companies. Now, each company need to understand where do I start today. Should I start from my sales and marketing? Should I start from my CRM? Should I start from my backend integration or from my R&D? So it all depends on the organization strategy that what should be the starting point, because this will come at a cost. And when this will come at a cost, because our today what is happening, let's take example our maximum spending which I mentioned about in my presentation also in sales and marketing. So primarily that is the resource that I deploy. Now, how do I optimize? Now when I say optimize, uh, let's say example that each company or every company has a strategy that we need to have a set of maybe 20 30 core doctors and I have to meet 3 or 4 times. Now during this COVID time, even one time visit was difficult. So, or moving ahead also, the doctor may not allow us. One is that time. The second thing is that a number of companies which are coming up. So, is there a way that I can reach out to the customer through digital method? Maybe one visit can be on a face-to-face. The second visit can be on a digital, so alternative method. So that is how we can work out for smaller companies to start with.
Yeah, another interesting question from Vineet. See, are we talking too much too soon? Every digital tool comes at cost. Enable them into a smaller marketing budgets. Today, with telepsychiatry, very few doctors are using it frequently in their practices. Many companies like Sanofi are returning back to the old ways of retailing through visual aid. Comment, please.
Okay. So see, nothing replaces this one. No, what is the advantage of e-detailing? That is it that I just convert from a print to an electronic and show some flashy data points? If that was the objective of the company to shift from a physical visual aid or a print visual aid to one electronic visual aid or e-detailing, perhaps then we are not in that game. Now, what we need now need is that when I'm able to detail through e-detailing, I could able to know what are the feedbacks of the customers in a real time. Because assume that there are just, if I have time, say let's we have 300 sales team promoting one brand, and on a single day there are 10 calls each day. So that means 3,000 calls. That means 3,000 input I am receiving. How it is practically possible to analyze this data manually? It's practically not possible, and it was never done. So with the help of e-detailing, if I'm able to capture the data or the feedback of 3,000 calls, the touch points what I'm making today, perhaps immediately I can change my strategy, or change my strategy means change my communication, that what is that is required. Because ultimately I need to communicate the right message. If I'm able to communicate the right message, then I'm winning that game.
Yeah, another question from Mr. Vijendran. Globally, are as well that digitally advancement on customers and corporate interface is very low. In a knowledge industry, as engaged discussion on data backup is critical. How do we cross this barrier?
So again, I was talking about that the gap between the customer and the company or the organization. Okay, so that is how we need to find out methods to integrate and meet the requirement. And as I mentioned, that adaptation has to happen first at our level, at from our side. Then we look at the customer adaptation. And if we are able to do that, then perhaps we'll reach to a midpoint where the organization and the customers can talk to each other through the digital method.
I think this point is very taken. Thank you, Mr. Prasant. The one point I think what we have been discussing even in the couple of earlier meetings also, when we say too much of digital, it is distancing from the customer and company. So how to balance the both? I think this is what Mr. Prasad also talking about. Definitely, I think we need to take a cautious steps on that. How to build the relationship. One thing is very clear that any digital is supposed to be used as a tool. It never be substitute. That's what I think. Even Prasad also telling. Even in the earlier also we've been talking on that. So when we place any digital engagement, we really need to see how that can be taken place. Probably I think that will answer our questions. I think it's a really great time. I think we have Mr. Prasant and these questions as well. Thank you very much, and thanks for all people who are been with us. Now, before we closing, yeah, yes, sir.
Prashant, I enjoyed listening to you. One
Thank you, sir.
important thing I noticed is how you yourself had transformed yourself digitally. Means you are a guy with hepatology and gastroenterology. So from there, and meeting the core customers of gastroenterology, I think from there, transformation that you have moved on is really great, very inspiring, very good.
Thank you, sir.
And then tomorrow we will be having a session on creativity from Mr. Sangardas, who is also earlier be with us for an earlier session. And the last session was, I think, was a really overwhelming session where we had an interesting case study. I think probably tomorrow creativity is